I'm like in this I'm like this little city in Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one here that uses Zoom. So it's like dark every this is like the best place where I am right now. I'm sorry. I wish it could be better. But I made a little I need to share my screen and I'm like challenged electronically as well. So let me open up the PowerPoint real quick and then I will share it. Um, desktop. All right, can you guys see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right. So like Ashley said, I'm just my name is Myra. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 10 years at the end of June. It feels like such a long time. I work in the emergency room and I'm in Oklahoma right now doing an assignment in the emergency room for like 13 weeks. A little bit about my background. Growing up, I'm from Cameroon, Central Africa. So you grow up eating whatever you want, whenever you want. I mean, I was always overweight as a child, but it wasn't really. I feel like now being here, I mean, you hear about it more. Everyone is a little bit more, you hear about it more in the news everywhere, of being overweight, obese, but it was just something that I didn't really, it wasn't ever really the focus, right? I mean, yeah, I remember a couple of times in going through school, people make fun of me, but it wasn't, I don't ever remember really like sitting down and thinking about it until I came here. I didn't really I never always had a passion for like really learning about being healthy or being whole in your body till I was like 17. I remember I was a sophomore in college at that time, and I went to the doctor at the school clinic just for like routine blood work. And I got on the scale and she just had this like look of disgust on her face. I can like vividly remember it. And I think I was like at least 286 pounds. I say at least. I didn't even look at the scale and I didn't have a scale. So when I went back to my dorm room that day, I was determined. I didn't have a car. I borrowed a car from a friend. I went to Walmart. I bought workout clothes. I went to the gym 5 days a week. I counted my calories diligently. I ate like 1,200 calories every day. I mean, at that semester, I lost like 30 pounds, but I was hungry the whole semester because I just didn't eat a lot of food. But I was proud of myself for that accomplishment. To date, I've lost about 110 pounds, give or take. I've had a baby in between, but about 110 pounds. And it took time for me. So it wasn't one of those, I took a year and lost all the weight. It took time. And as the time went by, I started to want to know more about just more than how many calories are on your plate. I mean, I think that that's important, but I think in the big picture, it's not as important as much as what you're eating or the quality of the food that you're eating, right? I mean, I tried all kinds of diets. Even if I didn't try it, I researched it, right? Paleo. There was one time I didn't eat meat. I've juiced. I've skipped breakfast. Don't eat dinner. I did it all. I tried it all. But I think as the years have gone by, my ideology has shifted to just, being from that diet perspective, right? Because I feel like now we're always on some diet. Everyone is always on some diet. So I think my mentality has shifted from that perspective to just really focusing about really nourishing our bodies because I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. Right out of nursing school, while I was looking for a job, and this was like 2010, I just kept, I kept, I'll be on the internet and this school just kept popping up. It's called Integrative Nutrition, Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And I just kind of, just kept it in the back of my head, like, oh, that's something that I might do. I'll probably go there someday, try to just learn a bit more about nutrition and our diet. And then last year, eventually, after I had my first child, I decided to go for it. I was just thinking, okay, what's next? I've been a nurse for this many years. And what is it that I love nursing. I know how to do it. I like it. I feel like it's one of the things that I'm called to do. But I just felt like there was more. There was more that I could give. There was more that I needed to learn. So the school popped back again. I was actually working with a life coach at that time, and just going through, like Ashley said, pay attention to the things that you like, pay attention to the things that you're good at, right? Because that's how we find out those, sometimes those hidden jewels that are inside of us. And we're working on that, just like, what is it that I like to do. And nutrition came up again, and that was when I decided to enroll. And I think I just got my health coach certification like last week. So I'm really glad that I took the initiative, or I stepped out in faith and I did that. Even not just for, because other times we're coaches to help people, but I feel like for me, especially this one, just even helping those around me, even my family, right? Especially now that I have kids, I feel like I have that well, I have a child. I feel like I have that responsibility to, to raise my kids, to raise my future kids, and feed them the right food, and just nourish my family in the best way that I possibly can. I have a passion for disease prevention and just inflammation in our bodies, because I think that the two are connected. And especially when you deal with it, like diabetes, high blood pressure, just some of the things that, you know all of us know somebody that has something, right? it always it's always linked to inflammation in our body. So I feel like if we can work on one, then inevitably we work on the other one. um just I put a before and after pictures here, of course. Like, I don't know why my camera quality was so like horrible back in the day, but yeah. So why, right? Why should we take care of our bodies? I think we're all created by God in his image, right? And we have the responsibility to steward our bodies, right? A lot of times we hear, oh, you have to, you know steward your finances, steward your relationships, and all that stuff is good. It's good to do all that, but I think we also need to care for our bodies, right? We all have a purpose here, right? All of us are in different sectors. We're all good at different things, and we all have that responsibility to live out that purpose. But I think that we cannot live out that purpose if we're constantly sick, right? And sick is not only, you're taking a pill every day for something, right? Sick is just we all probably know somebody who's always tired, always has a headache, always has some stomach issue, joint aches and pains, right? So while they may not be going to the hospital for it, right, that's just little signs that they have something more that's going in their bodies that they need to focus take a look at. Third John 1 verse 2, it just says, dear friends, I hope all is well with you, and that all is well with you, and that you are as healthy in your body as you're strong in spirit. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of times, especially in the body, we focus a lot on being strong in spirit. We all want to be strong in spirit, and we should be strong in spirit, right? But I also think that God calls us to also care for our bodies. Let our physical bodies be healthy, because our physical bodies enable us to do the things that he calls us to do. And then in First Corinthians 6, 1 6 verse 19 to 20, it just tells us to honor God with our bodies. Our bodies are the temple of the God. And while this whole passage in the whole verse from like verse 17, no, verse 12 up until verse 20, it is talking about sexual immorality, right? Honoring your body is the temple of the Lord, don't defile your body, right? But I think, in some way it applies to just your overall health, and just it can apply to your overall health and just caring for your body in general. And then just a little, I didn't want to bore you guys with statistics. We'll be here all day, right? 70% of annual deaths here in the US, especially in the US. The US is the most, one of the most, probably the most unhealthy nation in the entire world, right? um, Chronic illnesses, so diabetes, heart disease, stroke, right? A lot of them are preventable, right? So it's all, we can prevent ourselves from getting a lot of these diseases. Some of it is genetic, right? But if you are in a family where everyone has diabetes, everyone has had a heart attack, people are having strokes, then you know what you're faced with. So I feel like when you have that information, you have the responsibility to want to not to do better. You have the responsibility to eat better, right? So you prevent yourself from getting from having these diseases. Being sick is expensive. It's so expensive. And a lot of times people, you hear people say eating healthy is expensive. Maybe going to Whole Foods or Sprouts or whatever to get better quality produce in groceries is expensive, but being sick costs way more money than um, spending a little bit of extra money on your groceries. I think working at the hospital, I mean, it's in my face every day, right? You see people, they come to the hospital almost every other week, right? And I work in the ER, so a lot of the patients that get admitted, they come in through the emergency room, right? Somebody has had, they have high blood pressure, diabetes, they've had like 2 strokes, they've had like 3 heart attacks, right? And then family will come to bring them food, and they stopped by Burger King, or they stopped by even Chick-fil-A, right? We all have this misconception that Chick-fil-A is supposed to be like, the good fast food. It's not good for you. I mean, once in a while it's okay, right? There's that convenience aspect of it. But so I just feel like there's a lot of knowledge lacking when it comes to um taking care of ourselves. So I'm just going to share just a few little tips here and there, just how we can care for our bodies, right? So disease prevention. So you want to eliminate added sugar from your diet. If there's one thing that you take away from here, drastically cut back on the amount of sugar that you eat. And I don't care if it's organic honey, brown sugar, organic. It's all sugar. Organic in front of it doesn't make it better for you. When you put it in your body doesn't say, "Oh, this is organic sugar. I'm gonna process it a little bit different." No, it's all sugar. And then stop eating Splenda, Equal, all the artificial sweeteners that we eat, because you're just putting chemicals in your body. Period. And you got to start slow, right? Um you can't just say today is a day that I'm going to stop eating sugar. Some people do it, right? But you want to set yourself up for, don't set yourself up for failure, right? Start slow, right? I realize that it's hard to not eat sugar. It's hard to take out sugar. Everything has sugar, and you have to be really, you just have to start to learn how to read your labels. Pasta sauce has sugar, bread, every way that they can add sugar in food, they're gonna add it in food. So just being very vigilant about stuff like that. If you're gonna do a sweetener, there's a lot of more natural sweeteners out here now. Stevia, monk fruit, allulose. Personally, I stay away from all of them. If I'm gonna eat sugar, I keep it to fruit. Or if I'm really, if if I go somewhere and somebody offers me something, I'm not gonna say no, because at the end of the day, I think that food is meant to be enjoyed, right? You don't wanna live this life where you're only eating certain things, and food is meant to be enjoyed, and a lot of times we enjoy that food with company, right? So there's times where you're gonna eat, there's times where I go out and I eat, I'll eat a piece of cake, or I'll eat, and that's okay, right? But as long as you're not having a piece of dessert with every meal, or you're not having 7 packets of sugar in your coffee every day. I like coffee, but what I realize is I don't like coffee that's not sweet, right? Because I want to reduce the amount of sugar that's in my diet. I tend to stay away from coffee. So if I have a cup of coffee once every 3 months, then I'm able to have it the way that I want, because I know that this is once in a 3 months type thing. So cut out sugar, cut out processed foods, right? When you go to buy foods at the grocery store, again, read your labels. It's just important to learn how to read labels. First off, try and avoid buying foods that are in packages to start with. If you're going to, right, buy foods with single ingredient, if you can pronounce the ingredient, right, that's the rule of thumb, then buy it. If you can't pronounce it, most likely your body can recognize it, and then those are just one of the things that contributes to having really inflamed bodies, and makes us susceptible to having um, preventable diseases. And then eat whole natural foods, right? Now, when you tell someone eat a whole natural food, a lot of people think that they know what that means, but when you get into the details of it, they really don't understand what that means, right? So I just broke it down to make it really simple. Fats, you have proteins, you have carbs, right? Fats, oils, nuts, and seeds, right? What kind of oils are you cooking with, right? You want to avoid your canolas, peanuts, so all your seed oils, because yes, they are supposed to be better for you, but once you get into like the chemical composition of it, they, especially when you eat a lot of it, and that comes out when you eat out a lot, right? If you're cooking your own food at home, it limits the exposure that you have to all this seed oils that are not that great for you. But they have more omega 3s, omega 6s are good for you, but the problem with our diet, like the standard American diet, is we eat a lot of omega 6s and we don't eat enough omega 3s to balance it up. So we don't eat enough salmon, we don't eat enough walnuts or flax seeds or chia seeds to balance up that omega 6. So the omega 6 are really high in all these oils that we cook with. So then even though you're not eating, and butter is not really bad for you, even though you're not eating like margarine or really bad saturated fats or like trans fats for you, but you're still eating oils that are causing your body to be inflamed, right? So you want to cook with oils, like use avocado oil, coconut oil, um butter. If you're going to cook, use butter, use grass-fed butter, because animals have a lot of hormones, especially when they're grown in factories, which is what we do here. So when you're eating stuff like cooking with stuff like butter, you want to use grass-fed butter. It's just better quality for you. And this stuff, and the better stuff is slightly expensive, right? But then I just think of it in terms of, I would rather spend more on my groceries than be at the hospital every day. And then protein sources, plant source versus animal sources, not meat, so animal fish, pasture, factory foods, plant source, beans, a lot of the beans, a lot of the legumes, right? Those are like just your whole foods, right? Even when you go to the grocery store, avoid buying canned beans, right? It's cheaper to buy a bag of beans for like $1, and you come home and you soak it and cook it for yourself. And then carbohydrates, unrefined, so whole grains, right? Your whole wheat pasta. So you want to avoid white rice, white bread, because they take the whole ingredient and they break it down and they take out all the fiber, they take out all the nutrients that are in it, and then they make the food with the stuff that's just, and then it ends up just being refined. So it just ends up, when you eat it, That's what also help really raises your blood sugar. And then lots of, this is meant to be starchy vegetables and fruits, right? And then I cannot emphasize this, right, guys? Quality, 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 right? As best as you can. If you can eat organic, if you can eat local, um, it costs more, but I think it just pays, you just, it's just a better reward for your body in the future. It does cost a little bit more. You're gonna have to make more you're gonna have to spend more on groceries if you really want to nourish your body properly, period. You will have to spend more on groceries. But I think it's an investment that you put, you're investing in yourself. A little sheet that I use, it's called the Dirty Dozen. This group puts it out every year just to help us like see what um the 12 vegetables that have the most pesticides, and you buy those organic, and then you have like so as a rule of thumb, if you're going to eat the skin of the fruit, buy it organic, right? If it's something that you can peel, then you can buy conventional produce. Just limit the amount of toxins that we put in our body. And then finally, just a little bit on inflammation. Inflammation, we have two kinds of inflammation, the good kind and the bad kind. So the good kind is when you have a cut, right? And then it's red, it's swollen. Um, that's your body trying to heal, or you're sick and you have a fever. That's your body telling you that something is wrong, right? So it's not, a fever isn't always bad, right? It's inflammation. It's our body saying, hey, something is wrong that you need to pay attention to. You need to go to the doctor, right? but the but then what happens is eventually we have this inflammatory responses, and it just keeps happening and happening and happening. And what the research is showing is because a lot of times it's because of what we're eating, right? So again, we all know somebody that has 700 allergies to something, right? um they're always achy, or somebody who has lupus or arthritis or even asthma, right? Like your bowel diseases like Crohn's, IBS, right? All that stuff, it's all inflammatory, right? And if you would just take time and just a lot, because when you go to the doctor here, right, they're going to write you a pill. They're going to send you to do blood work, to do some scan, and they're going to write you a pill, and you go your way, right? But they're not treating the underlying issue, right? So they're just covering up the underlying issue, right? So you want to treat the underlying issue. And to treat the underlying issue for any kind of inflammatory disease, right? So even your heart disease, your high blood pressure, your diabetes, your strokes, all that stuff is, a lot of it is caused by inflammation as well. And again, it just comes down to poor diet, high sugar, stress, hormones, and toxins that we feed our body, right? So our body recognizes all this stuff as foreign, and they're fighting, and then they just keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. And then we're always having all the symptoms. We're always feeling sick. We're always sick, and we always have all the symptoms. So again, it's just, it all comes down to buy local produce, buy organic produce. And a quick way to find out if if something inflames your body is just to do like an elimination diet, right? The big things that we're going to be, our bodies react to, are sugar, dairy, gluten, soy, wheat. For some people, eggs. For some people, seafood, right? But the first five, sugar, dairy, gluten, soy, and wheat, right? Just like a quick experiment, I did this myself when I started school. Just eliminate these five things from your diet for like 3 weeks. It'll be, the first week is gonna be hard, but after that it's really easy, I promise. And then after the third week, if you start eating milk and you realize that, oh, it doesn't make me feel as good, then don't eat milk as much as you do, right? Or if you bring in gluten, a lot of people are sensitive to gluten, not allergic. People who are allergic to gluten have celiac disease, and that's a whole different like category. But a lot of people are sensitive to gluten, right? It causes your stomach to ache, it causes you to be puffy, but we don't know that because we gluten is in everything. Bread, almost everything that we eat has gluten, right? So not like being gluten free now, it's almost like a fad, right? But a lot of us are sensitive to gluten and we don't really know about it. So just take 3 weeks and just eliminate some of these things from your diet. And start to reintroduce it, and then it just helps you better, even to even know your body better, to even it helps you learn how to feed your body appropriately. And then exercise, finally exercise. I mean, I can't stress enough, and move your body. And exercise is different from for everybody. If you like running, run. If you like to swim, swim. If you like to play a sport, play a sport. If you like to go to the gym, go to the gym. I personally hate I hate going to the gym. I really hate it, right? I like group activity, whatever is the activity, right? So whatever exercise is for you, find that thing that you love and incorporate it in your diet. So I'm just going to end with this. Just start from where you are. Honor your body where you are right now. Celebrate the things that your body is helping you do. Celebrate the things that your body is helping you to accomplish. And realize that one way of eating is not going to work for everybody. All our bodies are different. We're all bio individual. So the only responsibility that you have is to learn what works for you and do what works for you. And finally, food is meant to be enjoyed. Enjoy it in the company of others, but be mindful and be aware that something that is meant to be enjoyed can also be the same thing that causes us to be sick and causes us so much disease. That's it. Thank you guys for listening.
Hey, Myra, thank you. There were a couple questions. So,
Okay.
one question is, a participant said they would like to know your take on the food sensitivity test to see what your body responds to positively or negatively.
I think so. You can start to. So personally, I just did an elimination diet, right? Honestly, I personally eat everything. I eat everything. I just eat. There's just certain things I know when I eat, I feel a certain kind of way. So I try to eliminate it, right? A cheap way to do it, right, is to eliminate those five things that I said, right? However, you can go to an allergist, right? Or you can find a functional medicine doctor. They're just so expensive, right? But I think if you go to an allergist, a lot of insurance will cover that, and they will do like a bait, just like how when a child has asthma or allergies, they start by going to see a pulmonologist, and they do testing. They'll do a basic test on you, right? But it's not gonna be it'll be able to tell you like certain things that you're allergic to. But the thing with those tests is usually they test common allergens. So common allergens like strawberries and they're not gonna test for stuff like, although they'll test dairy, they probably won't test for soy. They might test gluten. A lot of them will test for eggs as well. So a way that you can go about it is just seeing your primary care doctor. They can refer you to an allergist, and they'll do a food sensitivity test for you. But an even better way to do it is, find a functional medicine doctor, see them. It's just one of those things that you end up having to pay out of pocket, and it costs a lot of money. But I promise, if you just eliminate like wheat, and corn is another thing too that we're really highly sensitive to that we don't know. Corn, if you just eliminate those like 6 7 basic things from your diet for 3 weeks, and a lot of times when you tell people, they feel like you're not gonna have anything to eat. You will have a lot of things to eat, and it makes you creative. It really teaches you how to be creative, how to, and you're not gonna lack something to eat. You will learn, and it's cheap. It's just something that you can do in the comfort of your own home, and you will learn. You'll be able to gather a little bit of uh, preliminary information like that.
Okay, thank you. Another question
I hope
is
I answered your question.
another question is what can be done if inflammation is caused by hormones?
It all comes to your food. So of course, see, okay, hormones is that's like a whole nother topic that can take 2 days. So what hormones, right? Is it your stress hormones, right? Like cortisol? Is it so you sort of think cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, are they all in the right ratios? You have to think about that, right? And you will need to see a doctor again. You have to see a doctor to get that testing done. A quick way, right? If you're gonna eat dairy, because think of a cow, right? A cow has kids. Think of a woman who is pregnant. When you're pregnant, your hormones change, right? So if you think of like the way that animals are farmed here, especially in the US, right? It's all factory farming, right? These animals are fed lots of antibiotics. They grow like crazy because they have to produce a lot of food, right? It's a big country. And so one way, a really easy way, right? Avoid, right? If you eat soy messes up a lot with your hormones. I would stop. Stress is a big thing that plays into you. I mean, whatever you need to do to lower your stress levels, lowering your stress levels will lower your cortisol levels. That's one way, especially for us females, your estrogen, progesterone balance. A lot of times we have that out of balance, especially we see like PCOS, endometriosis. We have a lot of that out of balance, right? So eat, um, you want to avoid eat. So you want to just go back to the quality of your food. And that's why I say eventually you start to realize that it's less about calories. It's less about like I'm a foodie. I am a foodie, right? But I'm at the point where it's not just about to me how pretty it looks, right? We all want to go to a nice restaurant, take a picture of a pretty food and post it on Instagram, right? That's one of the reasons we went. But I'm just at the point that I don't care, right? If the meat isn't good quality, if it just doesn't do it for me like it used to in the past, because I just have all this knowledge. So if you're dealing with hormone issues, just again go back to the quality of your food. And another thing on hormone issues, a lot of the times you could be insulin resistance as well, right? Which goes back to your sugars, right? Because when we eat a lot of sugar, when we eat sugar, right, in just a normal amount, our body produces insulin to reduce that sugar, right? But when we eat it as much as we eat it, the body just keeps producing it. And eventually our cells can't, they just become resistant to it. So the insulin is supposed to drive the sugar into our cells so our cells can use it up, but it doesn't do that anymore. So you have all this insulin circulating in your body and you have all the sugar circulating in your body. Believe it or not, high sugar will cause you to have high cholesterol even more than high fat. So again, if you have hormone issues, a lot of times, a lot of those people have their insulin resistant as well. So that's something that you can discuss with your doctor. And the thing is, a lot of doctors don't really talk about this. So a lot of times you have to be proactive. You have to do your research, be proactive, and go there and say, okay, this is what I'm reading. This, like, you have to take that information to them, because you know how it is at the doctor. You go 5 minutes, they write you a prescription, and they send you your way. So you have to be proactive about your health. Yeah.
Thank you. And another attendee mentioned, asked specifically about trivia. As as for sugar, is trivia okay to use?
I think truvia, I think so because it's a combination of stevia and something. I think so. Let me just look it up real quick. Yeah, it's stevia based, but then it is stevia based, but just look on the ingredient. I haven't used it in a really long time. I forget what is in it, but just look on the ingredient list just to make sure it doesn't have any other additives in it. Just be aware of, in anything that you buy, just be aware of the extra stuff that gets put in it.
Okay. And someone else asked about coconut palm sugar.
I actually was reading up on that recently. It's I from what I understood, I didn't do a lot of, I haven't honestly done a lot of research on that. From what I understood, it doesn't, your body still processes it as sugar, but it doesn't, it has more minerals, it has more trace minerals, and I would just say be weary, right? I mean, you don't want to overdo it, right? Just one of those things that you put in your slow, little amounts of it. You don't want to overdo it, because in reality it is still sugar, right? Because if you take coconut palm sugar and you take plain white sugar, right, they're nutritional, they're almost identical, right? It's just the natural sugars, and I put it in quotes, they have more trace minerals, that are better for us than just simple plain white table sugar. So just, I mean, it's okay. I think everything is okay in moderation, but I just think it's just that awareness. If you're gonna bake with coconut palm sugar or put it in your coffee, right, 1 teaspoon still has, I think, like 15 grams of sugar. So just, no, that's not true. Like 7 grams of sugar. So just be aware of that.
Okay. Well, thank you. And one of the attendees said, everything you spoke about is what God revealed to her. And she said she was supernaturally healed from stage 4 breast cancer.
Oh, okay. Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God.
So thank you, Myra. We appreciate all the insight that you offered us, and we are truly grateful. And we understand that we do need to value and respect our bodies. Um, Baby steps with the sugar,
Baby steps, yes.
but we definitely will take heed to everything you said because you gave us some very valuable information that can help us be intentional, responsible, and more disciplined with our help. And I mean, with our health. And so, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.